this is happening every single day. There are illegal immigrants coming in every single day. Why are our borders so loose? We want better screening for all immigrants. You know, this has been done in Australia. I personally can't just get up, or you, and go into Australia in the morning.
So we're joined now by the Irish Freedom Party candidate, Melissa O'Neill, who's a candidate in the by-election here in Wexford. Melissa, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, you might just tell the viewers a little bit about yourself.
I'm a mother of two. I'm originally from Brough, County Limerick, and moved down to the southeast region just over 14 years ago. I've spent most of my life involved in community work, and after years of owning my own business and unfortunately getting cancer, but fortunately coming back from it, I decided to change my career. The job I was in at the time didn't suit, and I went back to college, and community development is something that I literally poured my life into, health and well-being, and I suppose giving something back after getting recovered myself. So I've spent over 35 years in community development, and health and well-being and environment is very much a part of that, and that's what led me onto the political road. And
you're standing in this election for the Irish Freedom Party. Just for anyone who isn't familiar with the Irish Freedom Party, would you just explain a little bit about the party?
Well, I'm very proud to be the first candidate running for Leinster House for the party. We're a new party. We've recently just registered, but we have been working behind the scenes for quite a while, so we have very qualified people in the areas that are needed, that need serious attention in this country, and there was many of us out there felt that the choice of a real opposition nationalist Republican Party didn't exist, and thankfully, you know, this is the party that ticks every box for me, as in environmental wise, our national sovereignty, how we feel that our neutrality has been just wiped away from us completely with the government that are there now. Just down from our fisheries to our farmers have been abandoned in this country, and to me the Irish Freedom Party tick every box of our national sovereignty and democracy of this country. So very proud to stand with them, yes.
And then in terms of your work campaigning to become a representative for County Wexford, what are some of the main issues that are central to your campaign?
The main issues at the moment, and I suppose we can talk, it's very out there at the moment, that the independent farmers in our rural, and after sitting on Kilkenny Council for 5 years, and I've sat on the Housing Committee and Policy, Vice Chair of Housing and Policy, and I've been a member of the JCP, which is the Joint Policing Committee, and to see how our rural areas have just been destroyed. They have literally been forgotten. It's move into the city, pack everyone into the city, from our post offices to our Garda stations. We do not have community policing. It does not exist. And we have serious issues of mass immigration and not having all these areas in place. It's the cart before the horse, which this government are very good at doing.
And in terms of your campaign then, obviously it's been ongoing for a number of weeks here in the lead up to the by-election. What are the main issues that people are feeding back to you on the doorsteps?
Well, obviously the housing is a major issue, and not just the people that are homeless on the street, which are number one. Our own Irish people that are on the streets to walk around Dublin would break any person's heart. Basically, they're not really owning up to the real issue and the numbers, the real numbers that are out there in the homeless, the people that are sofa surfing, the people that are in their 20s and 30s having to live with their parents. It's causing terrible friction, it's causing mental health issues. You know, grown children shouldn't have to live with their parents, and these are the other issues of housing. There's major issues that they dropped from 20% social housing to 10% while I sat in Kilkenny Council. It was something I actually argued quite a lot about in Chamber, and they have literally reduced it to 10%. So it's all about the private developers. It's all about taking public lands and, you know, so housing, giving our public lands to private developers to only give us 10% of housing. We want that back up to 25. They have been very much a cause, the government, of the housing issue. The HAP, they have literally wiped their hands of the tenant. So it's literally just going back to private developers. And we are going to have and see a surge of people that are on HAP. And literally it's just trying to keep down the numbers of what is on our housing list. At the moment we have 87,000 people on a housing list, Now I can tell you, that's not adding on the people in HAP, it's not adding on the people in RES, it's not adding on the people surfing. You can triple that number. And the Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Labour and Sinn Féin and People for Profit are all okay for this. But yet they want us to house 35 more thousand in the southeast region in, you know, the 2036 plan. And the 2040 plan is 100,000 immigrants to come into our country. Now charity begins at home. And Irish Freedom Party believes that charity begins at home. And when we can look after ourselves and our own and our hospitals, if we look at Waterford Hospital and Wexford Hospital, were amalgamated in 2010. Now, we have bodies decomposing, our loved ones, that they haven't got a fridge to put a person's deceased loved one into. We have psychiatric wards where they're on the floors. We have the mental health service that doesn't exist. It literally doesn't exist for youth. I am walking my shoes, youth mental health trained. I'm a qualified carer. We have the highest amount of children in this country with chronic illnesses, and no one is asking why. But yet when you go for your domiciliary allowance or your carer's allowance, we're told, no, you don't qualify. Yet 81% that reapply get it. So they were entitled to it in the first place. There is this constant delay of our taxpayers' money to the people that are paying the tax. And there is an awful lot of anger out there. And anyone that wants to pretend that we do not have an issue with mass immigration in this country are living in a bubble.
And what would be the Irish Freedom Party's approach to mass immigration, or what would be the stance on that?
First and foremost, we feel that we have to secure our borders. We can see here in, you know, the southeast of illegal migrants coming in, and we wouldn't have known about that only they were found in France. I can honestly say the port people have come out and said this is happening every single day. There are illegal immigrants coming in every single day. Why are our borders so loose? We want better screening for all immigrants. You know, this has been done in Australia. I personally can't just get up, or you, and go into Australia in the morning without having so much in my bank and, you know, being screened and vetted. You know, we need vetting. Now, if you're a community worker in a local community, and I have been for 35 years, and like that, we've started up a first responders group because, you know, after 5 o'clock in the southeast region, get a heart attack, and, you know, I hope you make it to the road to Cork, which many of our family and friends in the southeast region, both Wexford, Waterford, Kilkenny, Carlow, Tipperary, have all suffered, and we've lost loved ones. But you have to get Garda vetting to be a first responder in your community. But we are allowing complete strangers in from areas like Albania, Georgia, Sudan, Africa, and, you know, where's the vetting? Where is the vetting? And then if they are here illegal, they are literally handed a deportation, and it's literally let yourself out the front door, or, you know, off the island, and there is no numbers. So I personally have been fighting antisocial behaviour, and anyone that knows me knows that I am very much on the antisocial behaviour in our communities. I'm very much community based. And we do not have policing in our communities as it is. So why are we allowing this to happen? So secure our borders is the answer to what Irish Freedom Party would do. Obviously we have an amount of Europeans. We are far from racist, and, you know, throwing the racist card at people who very much European is, you know, just a no-end argument at this stage. And basically we want to mind who are here, but we want to put our own first. We have to mind our own first. You see the figures going out there of 10,500 homeless. I can guarantee you that's double what the numbers, what Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. I've sat on housing committees. I've seen the playing of the figures. And that is a way more. I do believe there's at least 20 people, what I consider homeless, that are jumping from one friend's house to the next. Now, let's not forget.
And they're very hard to keep track of, I suppose, really, in terms
well,
of
because
numbers.
they're not counted. They're on a housing list, and it's so hard now even for someone to get on a housing list. It's just ridiculous. It's like the Irish people that have paid their taxes. And let's face it, people always think of the word homeless as someone that's on a street in a cardboard box. That is not the case. My experience as 5 years of councillor are the phone calls that are coming in, and I do get phone calls from 32 counties. It wasn't just South Kilkenny. literally from Galway to Limerick to Wexford. So, you know, I'm very experienced, and we're, you know, different counties have different issues. We'd have the rural, we'd have the urban. But at the end of the day, when someone can't pay their rent, someone gets sick, someone gets cancer, saying that we're the second highest rate of cancer in Europe, you can imagine the amount of illness that is in this country. You know, when you have fluoride going through your water and Roundup spraying where your children play, there's no doubt, you know, reason why we haven't all this illness that isn't being tackled either. So someone gets sick, you have a mortgage, or you're in HAP, because it's the same thing now, and you're left homeless, and people have this idea that homeless is just someone on the street. Homeless are every single day families where a job has been lost, where there's an illness, where there's a loss in the family of grief, and there's no mental health, there's no care, we have nothing, there is nothing there. It is a smoke and mirrors service. It is not a healthcare. It is not. We do have third world healthcare in this country. How can we ask this people of the taxpayers of this country to open up our borders, leave in 100,000 more, when we cannot look after ourselves? Again, Irish Freedom Party, charity begins at home.
Well, Melissa, you've given us a very comprehensive outline there of the issues you're standing for in this election. If you could just sum up in 4 or 5 sentences, why should people vote number 1 for you on Friday?
For me personally, I'm very community. I've lived it, I'm living it. I'm out in the community for over 35 years. I've run my own small business. I know what it's like to be a struggling family that own their own business in this country. I know how little help we get psychologically, physically. They're now wanting to take all our natural healing out. The pharmaceutical companies have taken over this country completely and utterly, are writing our healthcare, pharmaceutical companies writing our healthcare. I want to be able to protect our children. I want them to be able to have land to farm. I want our fishermen to be able to go out more than 4 or 5 days a month. I want our waters back, and we want our rivers to run free under a sovereign national nation. And we cannot have that while we're in the EU. Unless we leave the EU, we will never see a sovereign nation, and we will never have that nation once again.
Well, Melissa O'Neill, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.